It has been over a decade since I have used deodorant. Do I smell? Sure, a little bit sometimes. I am an animal after all. Wherever did we get this idea that we should have no smell? These are the foundational questions that I started to ask and that led me to break free from the dozens of products that I believed that I needed. The face wash and the mouthwash and the deodorant and the shampoo and the conditioner and the body wash. The list goes on, and I realized I don't need it. Why? Because I believe in the human body and millions of years of co-evolving with Earth and the plants and animals we share this home with. I am connected to my body and how it functions, not depending on the education of corporations that seek my money. I love my body just the way it is. I am connected to Earth and believe that what I do to my body, I do to the Earth. With this at the core of my being, I practice a very simple and natural personal hygiene. And today, I'm gonna share my decades-long practice with you. These are my personal hygiene items. This is it. There are very few products that I use. For the most part, I simply let my body and the Earth do the work. There are a few items that I generally always have. Biodegradable soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, dental floss, toothpick, coconut oil, essential oils, sunscreen, body balm, fingernail clippers, hair trimmer, scissors, tweezers, earplugs, and towels. All are biodegradable, non-toxic, and can return to the earth. Thus, my washing water and anything on my body can return to the land without harming the plants, animals, or the soil. I get most products at a food co-op or from local makers. I swim in natural bodies of water a couple hundred times per year in climates from frozen to very hot. Whenever possible, I avoid water that is chlorinated. Chlorine is there to kill bacteria, to destroy life. I want the bacterial culture on my skin to thrive. I have found that my skin is not as healthy and that I even have an increased odor from my armpits when I use chlorinated water. I rarely get into a chlorinated shower or swimming pool. I use soap quite sparingly. It's a natural, biodegradable soap that I love, but I only use it when I actually need it. And for the most part, I only use it on my hands. When I use soap on my body, it's because there's something on my body that I need help getting off, like oil from my bike chain, or if I step in dog poop, which does happen from time to time. I exfoliate my skin often, using sand directly from Earth. This is quite easy at the beach when my skin is wet. I simply pick up wet sand and rub it onto my skin. I often exfoliate my whole body from head to toe in this way. I like to do a deeper exfoliation every week, especially of my feet and ankles. I do sometimes go months without exfoliating, and I feel just fine. I will often do dry exfoliation as well, which can be done with my hands or a rough cloth. I use coconut oil to massage my body. This is my happy place, in the sun with coconut oil. Sometimes I'll use different herbal balms and salves or body butter. For oral care, I have a toothbrush, toothpaste, and floss. I brush twice daily for 3+ minutes using Jason Power Smile toothpaste or the Oromir Ayurvedic toothpaste. I floss a few times a week with a biodegradable floss, and I swish with coconut oil in the mornings occasionally. I will also use the nut pick for some deeper cleaning. And sometimes I use twigs for cleaning my teeth as well. People often ask me about how I keep my teeth white, and I don't have an exact answer for that. It just is. But what I can say is I don't drink coffee or smoke cigarettes or drink red wine, a lot of the things that really stain teeth. And I drink a lot of herbal teas. But that said, I also do eat a lot of foods that I forage, like choke cherries, that can be really staining as well. I generally have a few bottles of essential oils, including lavender, peppermint, and tea tree, and sometimes a relaxing blend. Lavender I use as a natural scent instead of cologne and as a way to help reduce anxiety and foster relaxation. I use the tea tree oil as a natural antiseptic, and I use the peppermint as a really nice pick-me-up. When I clip my nails, the nails always return to the earth. My fingernails and toenails always return to the earth. My hair returns to the earth too. I don't send my body to the landfill. I keep my hair short because it's easier to maintain for me. I use sunscreen generally on my nose, and what I use is a zinc oxide base with different plant elements to it. But wearing clothes is my most natural form of blocking my skin from the sun. I'm always carrying towels for my hands, for blowing my nose, and for swimming. I like to have thin towels so they're very easy to dry and they don't build up a scent that way, so it's much easier to take care of them and keep this natural personal hygiene without the need for much soap and such. I wear earplugs to help me with getting a good night's rest, and a few times that's resulted in some buildup of earwax. And I've also gotten ear infections a few times. And so for that, I'll get a kit, an earwax removal kit, or something to help with infections from the health food store where I pick up occasional items. The products that I mentioned are the minor role. It's the sun, the air, the water, the natural human body processes, the bacteria that do most of it. The sun is the greatest sanitizer. My clothes are all homemade, natural fiber, and naturally dyed. So I'm washing them by hand and air drying them to really take care of them. I either use no soap or some Dr. Bronner's or powder detergent. If I'm using a natural body of water, I don't use soap because even biodegradable soap needs to return to the soil. I also often shake my clothes out to freshen them up and hang clothes in the sun for reducing scent. I once thought I needed it all. The commercials, mainstream society, they told me that I needed a long list of products, and that's exactly what I was doing. But then I started to educate myself. Watching the story of cosmetics as part of the Story of Stuff series was a huge wake-up call for me. And I learned that these corporations really didn't have my best interest in mind. Really, they wanted my money, and often the products that they were selling me were doing me more harm than they were actually good. And sometimes they even wrapped me into these vicious cycles of needing their products. So about 10 years ago, I decided to break free from that and reconnect to the earth through having a very simple, practical, natural personal hygiene. In fact, we now know that the bacteria on our body is actually beneficial to us, and what these corporations were convincing me to destroy, I learned actually serve a purpose. We now know that we are more bacterial cells than we are human cells, and that without the bacteria, we would cease to exist. This body of mine exists as a community, a bioculture, and so my whole practice is designed to help this bacteria to do its job, to thrive, to exist, not to kill it. Instead of practicing a war on germs, I am in love with these germs or these bacteria. I embrace them for being me and making me who I am. So that brings me to the concept of antimicrobial and antibacterial soaps. You know, I mentioned that I use this simple biodegradable soap made of natural earthly materials. And I avoid the antimicrobials and antibacterials. And if you actually look into it, yes, maybe they kill these bacteria in the short run, but what we're learning is that we're creating these super bacteria, and that science says that one of our greatest possible demises as a humanity may come from our constant fear, trying to kill the bacteria and actually creating resistant bacteria that could end up killing us off as a humanity. So for me, I'm very happy with my simple soap. I have not used deodorant for over 10 years, like I mentioned earlier, and I have shared thousands of hugs over the last 10 years. And I ask people pretty often, do I smell? And people often say, I thought you were gonna, but no. Or they would say, yeah, you smell like lavender, like flowers. Now, sometimes they say, yeah, you have a bit of a musk, a bit of a smell, and I'm not ashamed of that. I'm a human with a body. My armpit is designed to do something. The sweat that comes out of our armpits are designed for a purpose. So I'm not going to block it in with antiperspirants, and I'm not going to fear that I have a body. I believe that I am an animal, a human animal. There's no other animal that I believe would have no smell, and so of course it's fine for me to have a smell as well. It's the dominator society that has created this idea that we're separate from everything. And as I've embraced that I'm a part of everything, I've embraced that to be a part of everything, I'm gonna have a smell, just like everything else does. My general guideline is that whatever I put on my body, I can also put in my body. So the different items that I use are gonna have ingredients that I know, that I can see come from the earth, and that I can pronounce these and understand what they actually are. And that when they come off my body, they don't harm the earth. And basically, I could, lick myself, touch myself anywhere and not have any concern of something being toxic or poisonous to any part of myself or the earth. My food is my medicine. So in our society, we have a tendency to compartmentalize everything, to separate everything out and think that your hygiene is separate from your food. But to me, it's very clear that what I put into my body is going to affect many different elements of my hygiene, from my skin to my hair, to my smell, to my mental acuity, my waking state, my sleeping state, and it's all connected. So my food is absolutely a part of my personal hygiene, and the main thing is eating whole foods, not processed and packaged foods, not these chemical ingredients, but whole foods as close to as possible in the way that they came from the earth. With my food being my medicine, it creates an environment within my body, a holistic, nourished environment that doesn't need all the outside imports or exports. And that's gonna mean not needing the pharmaceuticals, the over-the-counter prescription medications. My food is my medicine. On that note, I also don't drink alcohol, instead opting for herbal teas and medicinal mushroom teas and other nourishing and healing beverages. And I noticed that in the past when I did drink alcohol, it had an ability to really throw off my body chemistry and throw off my balance. And in fact, I noticed that I smelled more when I was drinking alcohol, and that's something that I've heard consistently from quite a few friends. Do I ever get sick? The answer is, of course, yes. I'm a human being. And the difference is, how are my belief systems around being sick? I believe that getting sick sometimes is natural, and that I don't have to have an instant remedy, and that it's okay to be struggling and suffering some and not have to cover up the issues that I'm having and then just go through it. So in the last over decade of this, I can't think of a time when I've had to go to the doctor for sicknesses though. They've been very minor, colds, flus, and things like that. Since embracing this way of life, I can't think of any major illness that I've had. And I do want to say that I am young, and this is just where I am right now. I want to talk just a little bit about preventative health care, because the reality is that everything that I've talked about up till now is a part of preventative health care. In the Western healthcare system, there's often the idea that when something happens, you deal with it. And there's even this whole the thing with having health insurance is that a lot of people, they don't take care of their bodies because they just say, well, I have insurance and I'll deal with it when something happens. Preventative health care is about taking into account all of the ways that our body is existing and the ways that we're interacting, thinking ahead and taking care of ourselves. It's really simple. Preventative healthcare means preventing the major issues. So that comes down to my food, my medicine, what I'm putting on my body. That includes stress, that includes my thoughts, that includes my relationships, that includes the water, that includes the air. So my preventative healthcare practice is quite simple, and it involves everything. Now, this preventative healthcare, it takes real diligence and practice, especially in the time that we live in, which is designed to keep us from taking care of ourselves. So I am not the beacon of perfect health, and I don't even want to be. I'm not someone that wants to fully optimize my physical body and my physical health. I just want to function well enough to live a happy, healthy life that allows me to contribute to the lives of others. And so I just want to be clear that I'm not the beacon of perfect health. I struggle just like everybody else does, but I'm happy with where I'm at, and I'm happy with my practice of personal hygiene and preventative healthcare and how those two things go hand in hand. Now, a lot of people are curious, what about pharmaceuticals? So I want to mention a little bit about natural medicine versus pharmaceuticals. I am not against pharmaceuticals as a concept. I'm against the idea of prescribing them for everything. The idea of people needing to get dozens of vaccines and have all of these pharmaceuticals when we aren't just taking care of our body, when we're not looking at the source. So most of the pharmaceuticals out there actually come from plants in the first place. And I'm going to go to the plants. I'm going to go to the natural medicines. I'm going to work with the medicine in a way that it's been worked with for thousands of years, long before I'm ever going to get involved with something that's made in a factory, knowing that the pharmaceutical industry is one of the most corrupt industries in the world. It's right up there with the military-industrial complex. It's right up there with the prison-industrial complex. It is right up there with big ag. Big pharma is right there with all of that. So I avoid that to the best of my ability and intend to for the rest of my life. With that, I am incredibly grateful to be a part of a large community of herbalists. I myself have some herbal knowledge because a lot of herbal knowledge is incredibly simple. I forage dozens of herbs and work with dozens of herbs. But for more difficult things and for more where there's a serious issue, that's where I turn to herbalists. And there are millions of herbalists around the world. The pharmaceutical industry might want you to believe that this is not a field that is thriving and alive and well, but I have so many herbalist friends, and I turn to them when I have a stronger sickness that I'm needing support with. And besides herbalism, there's many different natural healthcare practices. Some of the ones that I've worked with that have been beneficial are massage and acupuncture, but there are dozens of different healing modalities that we can turn to before we turn to things that we really don't have a solid thousands of years of experience and deep knowing that they work without potential destruction and without putting the power of our hands, of our individual hands and our community into those corporations. We can have the power through having relationships with the earth, with the plants, with the animals, and with our bodies and with our communities. Dearest friends, I am so grateful to have had this time together to be talking about our bodies openly and honestly. The dominator culture and the corporations, they don't want that. They don't want us to be talking about this openly and honestly, embracing it and saying, I am who I am. So I'm so grateful to be here sharing this with you. And on that note, I have a few last words that I want to leave you with. I believe in the human body. I believe that I am not separate from Earth. I am a part of Earth. I believe in millions of years of co-evolution with the plants and animals we share this home with. We are interconnected. What we do to our bodies, we do to Earth. What we do to our bodies, we do to the communities of life we live with. I love myself just the way I am, bacteria and all. And I love you too, just the way you are.